Spaceglaze Part 2 Donut Hole Beyond Control Attack from Planet Arr by W. M. Cuppernell, Barking Dog Safari Books. 5 pirate shipcraft began their final approach on the Spaceglaze spaced out resort. It was routine. On that evening, the Lazy Lights were put in control of the radar. This was a mistake because they took constant breaks and insisted on 2-hour lunches. They were too lazy to even clean their screens, and when their sloppy sandwich juices got all over the screen, it caused any blip on the radar to become a drip, a mighty saucy one, but laziness stopped any cleaning of the screen. Captain Cool was far too busy flirting with the beauties, a species where even the least attractive were perfect tens. Beauties were at war with Planet Plain Jane until their leader blushed, formed a foundation, and finally got some color. The radar was sitting unmanned, but was womanned, who spotted the pirate fleet and tried to wake up the male Lazy Lights, who asked for 5 more minutes and called them Mom, unsure what to do. The female Lazy Lights, who were anything but, called the Spaceglaze defense commander, who was also on break. He had snuck out the back and had a blow-up version of himself. Though he hated inflation, he was sure nobody would call, but if they did, the voice message said, "We're on an inspector's inspection. Get right back to you at light speed, even if you are heavy." The lazy ladies were fed up, even though they were hungry. They needed to get a hold of Captain Cool, whom all ladies considered hot. With no time to waste, they would only recycle. "I totally will go," said Lieutenant Linda Lazybottoms. Then she looked back at her sleeping male troopers, whom she held in respectful disgust. Her sleeping male workers were all slumped in chairs, some were drooling on their keyboards. "You all are worthlessly valuable grouty," Linda said out loud as she went to the transporter to look for Captain Cool. She was sure she would find Cool in the arcade, because he would never run out of credits, though he always paid cash. The transporter took her through space and time in an instant, but it still felt like 5 minutes. Lieutenant Lazybottoms, who was always working, arrived just as the first shots of the pirate's main cannon, called the eye patch, were fired. It was the most unique cannon ever used, and the results were routine. If the beam hit you, you would instantly get an eye patch, losing 50% of your vision, even if you felt 100%. Captain Cool was nowhere to be found, though he was near. Upon hearing the first shots, he ran over to Spaceglaze and found all customers and workers with eye patches. He needed to get to the squadron of V-100 2X light speeders. He knew that when the pirates landed, they would gain control through chaos. If they did that, the whole area, perhaps remoteness, the very galaxy, would no longer be free. There would be charges. There was no time to waste, though many still did. The pirate ships looked right out of Peter Pan, but were rocket ships. Superfast Captain Hook rockets, pirate patch cannons that when they fired, an instant patch appeared on the victim. Then, slowly, their language started to change. One leg turned to wood, and a crutch appeared, and after 30 minutes, they became full pirates. Captain Cool did not miss a beat, unless it was on the dance floor, where he had no rhythm. He reached the hangar just as Linda Lazybottom appeared, but was out of sight. They were old friends, though they were both young. She wanted to surprise him, though Cool expected everything. "Surprise, dude," Linda said, expecting Captain Cool to act shocked as she jumped behind the counter. Captain Cool didn't act surprised. He looked up at her as if this was a daily routine. Captain Cool yawned, speaking casually with a wave of his hand. "Hello, Linda. You're certainly very active. When are you going to start living up to your last name, Lazybottom?" Linda was thrilled. Such a strong, handsome, cool guy with gleaming white teeth remembered her name. She was blushing but appeared pale. Sudden cannon fire could be heard outside the hangar. Linda remembered her purpose. "Oh," she said, "Captain, we are totally under attack." Captain Cool rolled his eyes and replied sarcastically, "Wow, Linda, that's really good information. Maybe you can change your name from Lieutenant Lazybottoms to Captain Obvious." Continuing, Captain Cool asked, "Who are they? What do we know?" Linda Lazybottoms said, "Space pirates from Planet Arr. I know all about them. I just learned of them today." Captain Cool rolled his eyes in contempt. "Oh, you know all about them, but learned of them today. Well, I guess that makes you an expert, all right," shaking his head in disbelief. Then, regaining his coolness, he said, "Planet Arr." You say you've never heard of it? And I have been to more places than a man who never gets out. How did you know about it? Linda Lazybottom replied, "We have heard rumors of a planet hidden 1,000,000 miles due west of the black hole, which is very purplish in color." She swallowed hard and continued, "They love to take but never give, but are very generous in doing it. They have super powerful Captain Hook rockets that make the VX-100 2X light speeder look slow. We need a plan like pronto, but don't think too hard." Captain Cool, living up to his name, smiled, though he panicked on the inside, thought fast, but in a slow manner. He knew he did not escape Freeze-Bania to be left back in the cold. "Okay, expert Linda, cough, cough," Captain Cool said sarcastically. "What do they want?" He continued, "We will never give in to their demands until we do." Linda Lazybottom knew Captain Cool was smart, but in a dumb way. She had only looked up the complaint box because Remoteness Galaxies was always the last to get the word, even when they heard it first. Other galaxies, such as Traffic Jam and Disco Ball, had all the crowds. She read reports of pirates going from planet to planet, not just taking over, but turning some populations into pirates with their huge pirate patch cannons that were packed into the small side of their ships. She told all this to Captain Cool fast, but in a slow manner. Captain Cool never changed his disposition until he did, in his perfectly imperfect facial star pilot profile. Dark rimmed glasses, smile bright, though dim. He easily could be an A-lister in the Movieland solar system, but only for B movies. "Okay," Captain Cool said. "We need a plan." As he went to the chalkboard that was out of chalk, not missing a beat without keeping one, he went on for 30 minutes, giving Lieutenant Lazybottom eyes that glazed over, but not Spaceglaze donut hole delicious. A huge boom on the side of the hangar jolted her awake. "Sir," Linda said, "the pirates are totally running amok, walking amongst us. We need to do something now, but no rush." Captain Cool donned his helmet that barely fit over his huge melon that was seedless. Breathing in but never out, he looked at Lieutenant Linda Lazybottom as a teacher being taught by his student. "I'm trying to teach you tactics, Linda. If only I knew any," Captain Cool snapped, but went on for a 20-minute plan, explaining complex flying strategies that could be summarized with 2 words. "Go get 'em." Linda, removing the glaze from her eyes, felt the surge of sarcasm flowing in her veins before her brain could form a wall to block it. "Now who's Captain Obvious?" Linda blurted out. Captain Cool was hit by the heat of that comment. His cool smile almost was lost, but still retained a small smirk. Forgetting the comment, though writing it down, he looked at his underling as his commander. He needed a comeback, but his coolness brought a brain freeze. Captain Cool thought fast. His wit was like a turtle. After millions of miles, countless encounters, and heroics, he formulated just 2 words that were neither a statement nor a question. "Yeah, but." Captain Cool said this, then changed direction. He had to save face, though he only had to. "Come with me, Linda. You will be my gunners." He led her to the hangar, which held 2 VX-100 2X light speeders. The new version, VX-100 2X Lightspeeder 2, was a 2-seater with room for only one. Luckily, she sat behind him. The cannon for version 2 was called the Netting, which could capture whole ships, partly. Linda, seeing this, held out her hand and said in her Valley Girl way, "Oh my God." "I'm totally not qualified." She said it with her California-ish accent from the Galleria star system. Though she was a lazy bottom from Lazy Lights, she summers in Galleria, where the fashion and lingo is right out of California, 1980s. Captain Cool spun around slowly. Cool as a cucumber, he felt a blast of heat. It was never going to be easy. That is why he avoided it. Having little patience, though taking his time, he was happy, though infuriated. Captain Cool was not having it, even if he was. Time was wasting. That's why he was patient. He wanted to say it plainly, through mumbling. "Oh no, you're coming, Linda, even if you're staying right here," Captain Cool said with the authority of an assistant. Linda knew exactly what to do, but was undecided. She went right with Captain Cool, but lagged behind. She went to the uniform room and redressed for the flight, finding nothing to wear. But the device known as the flight design automatically retrofitted her into her flight suit, boots, gloves, and helmet. "You're in the back on the guns, Linda, so lead from the front." Captain Cool said, motioning toward the back of the VX-100 2X Lightspeeder 2. While it was faster than the first version, the gun faced to the rear, able to capture anything in front of the face gunner. Captain Cool tried again with complex instructions that were simple. Linda rolled her eyes and said, "Dude, you take more time than my lazy bottom brothers." Totally, I mean, oh my gosh, gag me with a spoon. Captain Cool took her literally, but was out of plastic spoons. He lifted his arms up in a shrug. Seeing Linda in the back, now he got in. He started the engines and was soon out of the hangar. He blasted out and soon came upon the scene of 5 huge pirate ships firing blasts of Pirate Patch cannons at Spaceglaze in the nearby theme park known as Glaze Craze. Flying low over the scene, he could see that the shots were landing. Guests from all over the galaxies were already either wearing eye patches or some had already had crutches and wooden legs. Captain Cool went right up to the pirate mothership called Papa Bear. "Fire, Linda!" Captain Cool shouted like a spaz. Linda hesitated, then fired too soon. The huge net blast missed the pirate ship completely, but it netted a space tourist on his final approach into Spaceglaze. The poor family got caught. The netting could not escape. "Great shot, Linda," Captain Cool said sarcastically, shaking his head, and under his breath quipped, "If you're on the pirate side." Linda still heard it, even though she wasn't listening, and responded, "Careful, Captain Cool, before I tell everyone in the galaxy you're anything but. Give me one more shot. I promise to not hit any more tourists." Reluctantly enthusiastic, Captain Cool decided to give her shot. The VX-100 2X Lightspeeder 2 shot up, flipped upside down, and moved in for another shot. As they closed in on Mothership Papa Bear, some of the ship's gunners spotted him and turned their Pirate Patch cannons toward him. Now coming in fast and slow, Captain Cool dodged and weaved in a way a dodgeball player avoided getting eliminated. Pirate Patch cannon fire bounced off his craft, decorating it with patches. Thankfully, the VX-100 2X Lightspeeder 2 had an ultra non-penetration pod that provided protection, or the crew would be transitioning into pirates. Some of the crew of the Papa Bear seemed to notice this. They switched to different ammunition called Parrot Pepper. Parrot Pepper was not patches, it was fully formed blue and yellow Caribbean birds. In such quantities, it would overwhelm most crews. Thousands of loud birds shot out from the cannon. In his panic, Captain Cool responded calmly. The light speeder descended, barely avoiding the fine feathered mess. The pirate gunners were angry they missed. However, they were distracted, though some remained focused. They searched for the light speeder that was nowhere to be seen, though it was in plain sight, right under Mothership Papa Bear. It was too late, but it was early. The time to take over Spaceglaze had arrived. Suddenly, all 6 of the pirate ships moved in to hover over the donut shop to box in the donuts and creatures. As they hovered over the donut shop, the hotel, spaced out, the diner better than nothing, and the Glaze Craze theme park. Ladders then came down from the ships. A motley crew of very 17th century Earth-looking pirates were on deck. All had eye patches, parrots, and wooden legs. The only thing that distinguished them from Earth pirates, all wore helmeted space shields. Captain Cool knew it was time to make his move, though he froze. "Ah, Captain Cool, you're totally spacing out. No pun intended," Linda said. "Well, we need to get moving. These pirates are totally bugging." Captain Cool heard her, though he wasn't listening, and muttered with the reluctance of a child getting up for school. All right, Linda," he said, regaining control, though he internally lost it. He continued, "Yeah, we are out of here, but we are staying put." Confused, Linda hit the space thrusters. The light speeder flew from under the craft, ascending up toward the last resort fuel stop. The last resort fuel stop had the most expensive fuel and was operated by the Gougers. The Gougers were from Planet Greed. All were known for their price hikes. Low on fuel, it proved luckily unlucky. "Great job, Linda," Captain Cool laughed sarcastically. "I know we need gas," he continued, "but by darn, you have got us in the most expensive gas station in the galaxy. We do not have enough fuel to continue the flight. We may have to finance the fuel. And how is your credit?" "I'm maxed out. I'm 3 months late on my space convertible." Linda couldn't believe her ears, though she had faith in them. Everyone just assumed that Captain Cool was rich, though he behaved poorly. Linda hated to be the bearer of bad news, though she was glorified in it. "I'm totally broke, dude," Linda replied. I just paid 500 glaze bucks on my nails. You should get yours done, man. They are grody to the max. Before Captain Cool could respond, the gougers were seeing they had another space sucker upon them. Checking the craft, wiping it down, kicking the landing pod, and all putting in the charges on a computer, Captain Cool just froze, mouth open, as he knew he was trapped. One gouger knocked on the light speeder window and he raised it. Now that they were in a pod, full oxygen, but there was little doubt they were being charged for it. The gouger was green, the color of money. They had Velcro-like hands that everything stuck to. Tall, hairless, shark eyes that preyed on customers, pointed crooked nose, and dog-like ears that rose and fell with interest. How are we doing today? The gouger asked, then handed him a bill for 100 glazed dollars. $100? Captain Cool lost his cool. We just got here. Look, we are under attack. Don't you gougers care about anything but money? That was heard throughout the station, and all the gougers in the vicinity just laughed as if that was the funniest joke in 2 trillion known galaxies. Captain Cool tried again, desperately unconcerned. Look, Captain Cool exclaimed, we need fuel now. We have to save Spaceglaze from going beyond control to pirate control. Won't you help? We will pay you back. The gougers weren't having it. They just smiled in an unhappy way. Ah, no money, eh? The one gouger said, looked at him with his shark-like eyes. Not to worry. Oh boy, the gouger said, then whispered, even though you should. We got financing available. Let's see if we can get you approved. And who knows, you may just want one of our timeshares we have available on Scammerific. Captain Cool protested silently, then finally found his voice that was not missing and shouted, oh no, I do not want any timeshare. I may not have a watch, but there is no time for this. Pirates from Planet Arr are taking over Spaceglaze. You'll be next. Don't you get it? Probably not, because you only understand money. The gouger nodded at this and agreed. After an hour of haggling and bargaining, Captain Cool returned to his craft. Linda was asleep in the back. The commotion caused her to come awake when Captain Cool hit the control panel hard, though it landed lightly. What happened, dude? She said. You look like you're totally bugging. Captain Cool bit his lip, shaking his head in disgust, but in a delightful way. Finally, after a minute, Captain Cool spoke. There is good news and bad news, Linda. What do you want first? What can your small beauty, lazy light gallery of Valley Girl ears handle, so you can go back to worrying about your nails? Linda dismissed his remarks, though she took them in. She needed some good news in a bad way, so she muttered, give me the good, dude, totally. Captain Cool inhaled, but not exhaling. I got the gas. They will fill it. Captain Cool pushed a button, opened the fuel pod, and a gouger with a hose started refilling. Linda smiled and felt sorry for him in an indifferent way. Well, you did it, dude, Linda said. Now give me the bad. I'm sure it's totally all right. Captain Cool just gave her a look like she was both smart and clueless at the same time. He gripped the control panel hard as a toddler grabs a sippy cup. Captain Cool was originally from Freesbania. It had been a long time since his last meltdown, but it came like he was vacationing in the sun. They got me, Linda, he cried in a way that was both sad and hilarious. No matter my record, my rewards for valor, they treated me like a giant sucker just waiting to get licked. Linda reached through the back console, rubbed Captain Cool's shoulders, before saying, come on, big guy, don't be like a house of Legos and fall apart. Captain Cool put his chin down and continued to cry. Then, breathing in, not out, he spoke out with the force of a 6-year-old child. They made me sign a document for the VX-100 2X Lightspeeder 2. If I don't pay them back, I have to surrender it, and I don't even own it. Linda laughed at this one, though put her hand over her mouth not to show it. Linda, suppressing her smile, reassuringly uninterested, said, the Federation will handle it. You got no problems, except for being a man, baby. Yes, not proving her wrong, he continued to pout, though sometimes breaking out in laughter. That is not all, Linda, Captain Cool said, then breaking into tears, then insane laughter. Linda shrugged in the what's up, lifting both hands, aware that Captain Cool noticed through the rearview mirror. Finally, after another 5 minutes, he screamed, I want my mommy. This is not fair. And then he said calmly through panic, timeshares. I have now purchased 3 timeshares. I said no 10 times. Then they put their best salesperson on it and I bought it, but at least I held out for a long time. Long time, Linda said, laughingly serious. Dude, you were gone for like 40 minutes. What could they possibly say to own 3 timeshares when you are 3 months behind in your space convertible? Where did you go to school? At Spacesucker University. Taking the remark, he gave a long explanation in a record short time. They said I will look cool in them, he said, regaining his smile, thinking about the possibilities. Linda lost all her Valley Girl expression and just muttered, shaking her head. Oh, good grief, she said in disbelief. They had lost time, though it was not missing. They needed an attack plan, but were defensive about it. They knew male lazy lights never gave out a distress call because they were still sleeping. They needed to call the cavalry, though in spaceship form. They were sure now that instead of facing 5 pirate ships with 5,000 pirates, they were facing 10,000 pirates because it was likely everyone had turned to space pirates by now. They headed for Copsylvania. Captain Cool had not been there since his academy days. Speeding way past the 17,000-mile speed limit, he was pulled over on his approach. Cursing his luck, Captain Cool pulled over and looked through his glove box for his registration. Captain Cool could not find it, and he left his license in his space pod at home. About to be taken to jail, Linda stepped in and showed the cop her ID. Liking Linda, he agreed to let them go with a warning, but only if Linda gave him her number. Escorted to police headquarters, he saw hundreds of police cadets from different planets going through the course. Captain Cool asked to speak to the chief, but instead found himself talking to the janitor when he and Linda waited on a bench right next to the restroom. After telling the janitor the complete story, he turned back toward his mop, saying, Well, there is nothing I can do. I hope it works out. Finally, the chief found out the famous Captain Cool, and they were ushered in. The chief and Captain Cool knew each other from the academy days, where they kept each other awake by listening to soft music. It took another hour to convince the chief, who kept on bringing up the past, trying to show old photos of the two. It took all of Captain Cool's screaming and Linda's pleading to convince him to take action. Finally, the military was called in from Planet Star Force. The commander, called General Discharge, agreed to take action, combined with Copsylvania, who wanted in, realizing the greatest cosmic donut shop was now under the control of space pirates. A mass force was assembled in a small way. Huge Star Force ships were readied, loaded with crackers and seed for fear of getting Parrot Peppered. No less than 400 V-100 2X light speeders of both classes were to take part. 4 carrier-style transport ships were there to support the force, composed of both Army and Navy units. The Army hated the Navy, and the Navy hated the Army. They were on separate sides of the ship. They even ate separately. Navy food being better, several soldiers dressed up like sailors and had to be kicked out of the mess hall. The plan was to sack Spaceglaze with so much force, everybody from Planet Arr will get in their ships so fast the donut machines in Spaceglaze will be up in 30 minutes. Cosmic deliciousness will be restored, and the new pirates struck by Pirate Patch cannons could be reprogrammed. There was always hope, though they had none, that newly formed pirates with brand new wooden legs would go back to their old alien self if helped in 24 hours. So they aimed for 32. Slowly, in a fast way, the whole space fleet, led by Captain Cool and Linda, all moved in on the new pirate platform. They could see all the pirate ships were now parked like cruise ships, with huge ropes hooked to posts to prevent them from sailing into space. All the ships were in attack formation waiting for the word go, but the commander stopped, unable to take it anymore. Captain Cool hit the thrusters and flew right at the old donut shop. Seeing this, thinking they had missed the signal, the fleet followed behind his light speeder. Captain Cool was thinking they would draw fire, though both Linda and him failed art class. The pirates saw the huge fleet approaching it as expected, but they were surprised. They held their fire, but not too close. Captain Cool flew back and forth, but not a shot was fired. All remained employed. Nobody taking a shot at him. He felt rejected, like the time he asked Betty from Planet Beauty to the dance. She responded, You can just dance with yourself. The space fleet, seeing no activity, stopped short, though some were tall. At that time, the platform, seemingly dead, came to life. Hundreds of pirates, old and newly formed, manned the decks, complete with swords, and some pushed cannons to face down the fleet. "AR!" the pirates shouted, brandishing swords. Pirate patch cannons had been replaced with glaze from donut remnants. They were delicious, and they coated every craft they hit, coated it with glaze, slowing it down quickly. The fleet was now engaged. Their spiderweb cannon was too coated to fire. Then the trap was sprung before they departed. The fleet never knew about the rowboat spacecraft that numbered over 100 per ship. The rowboat fighters all had Captain Hook rockets and could easily outmatch any version of light speeders. They were quiet and could sneak up on you like Mr. Smee. Suddenly, slow, they started to engage the fleet in pirate patch and birdshot Parrot Pepper fire, finding ample targets as if they were scarce. Luckily, the craft did not have time to refit with glazed cannon, and Parrot Pepper could be diverted by dropping bird seed and crackers. Light speeders and rowboat ships were everywhere, flying and weaving everywhere. Netting and glaze fire filled the remote space. All the forces were engaged, though nobody was proposed to. Not seeing anything was winning, Captain Cool got an idea that originated in Linda's head. "What if we offer gold?" And she asked, no pirate can refuse gold. Captain Cool smiled. "Good idea, Linda," he said lamely. He then pointed toward his temple. "Glad I thought of it." Linda shook her head in disbelief, though knowing Cool, she believed it. She just gave him the thumbs up. She didn't need the credit. She was overextended. Planet Mirage had lots of pyrite, which is known as fool's gold. Seeing both pirates and the fleet were too busy fighting, he landed his craft without being noticed. He told Linda they were to pretend to be pirates, walking with a limp. The plan was to find the pirate leader, convince them to leave Spaceglaze for the gold fields of Mirage. Once the pirate fleet was out, they could restore Spaceglaze. Once the pirates were all on Mirage, the fleet would form a barrier around the planet. Planet Mirage's name would change to Planet Pirate Prison. Captain Cool limped as if on a wooden leg. Lieutenant Linda Lazybottoms kept her head down, limping too. When passing by pirates, they both shouted, "Arr!" It was so convincing that nobody believed it. Pirates were about to move in, even though they knew they couldn't afford it. They approached Captain Cool from the rear to the front of him. Just as they tapped his shoulder, Captain Cool turned around and Linda did too. "Arr!" they both screamed in a quiet manner. The pirates bought it, though it wasn't for sale. Captain Cool pulled out his map, showed them the way to Planet Mirage and the Fool's Gold. The big pirate was small-minded. Hearing the mere mention of gold, the pirate became starstruck, which was easy since they were in space. Both pirates' black eyes turned gold dollar signs. It started to take over the pupils as they grew bigger. With a wave of his hand, the large pirate motioned for both Linda and Captain Cool to come with him. The smaller pirate followed close behind as they were led to the main chamber in the side room, where the pirate leader, known as Blackweird, sat in a high chair that was so low they looked down on him. Blackbeard was smart in a dumb way. It took Captain Cool a long time to convince Blackbeard, like 60 seconds, to abandon Spaceglaze and go for the gold. Literally. Blackbeard went to the intercom and made the announcement that wasn't heard. He went on for several minutes before he realized the device was off. He smiled proudly in frustration as finally he got the thing working as if it were on strike. The words were complex as a toddler. "Abandon Spaceglaze, pirates," Blackbeard said. "There is gold in them hills. Take everything," he continued. "That is not tied down, but tied up. We are heading to Planet Mirage. We are keeping it real." Soon all the pirates were ready to leave after 3 days. 5 huge pirate ships and the mothership, Papa Bear, full of Spaceglaze treasure, pricelessly worthless save for the Pawn Galaxy on the shady side of the cheapskate moon. Thousands of pirates rushed in a kickback way to their battle stations that looked peaceful in the neon light of Spaceglaze. Every one of the pirates were on board, except for the ones that weren't. The new pirates formed by pirate patch cannons were left behind in the front of the platform. Blackbeard raised his sword as the new pirates gave him what gives in a taking way. Little did they know, and they left it at that. Secretly known to everybody, they were not taking the new pirates with them, not because they were not trusted. It's because they were. Besides, In front of them lay Planet Mirage, and they were not about to share their loot with any newbie who had no skin in the game. That skin had no tattoo. Blackbeard counted down from 3. When he got to 4, he yelled, "Charge!" The ships took off, even though they had no credit. 5 pirate ships, led by Papa Bear, headed out at light speed, though they were heavy. Captain Cool was thrilled in an unexciting way. He had no clue, though they left him a trail, what to do with hundreds of newly made pirates. Could they be reformed yet stay unchanged? Captain Cool needed intel, but he refused to research. Seeing this, Linda stepped in, but it was space poop. Stay tuned. If you want to see how this great adventure ends, head to Spaceglaze Part 3 for the final chapter.